saying that right? Schweid?
Schweid.
Schweid were all killed. None of them survived. We also find out that our dear Grandpa Schindler refused to go into a ghetto when the Jews were rounded up in 1942. He was shot in the street near his home.
Right.
At 90 years old, he refused to leave his home. We now know that our whole family is gone. Murdered by the German Nazis.
Yeah.
Dad is dead. Mom and Cecilia are gone. Our extended family no longer exists. It is just Fred and me in the world. All that remains from our former life is the gold chain that Dad wore to hold his watch.
It's not an easy book to read.
No, it's not.
I've read it so many times, and yet every time I break out in tears. I can't help it.
I mean, both to hear and read about both of your family and Max's family, the entire family's gone,
Wiped out for no reason, just because they were Jewish. The world doesn't realize what they've lost. Who knows? Maybe one of those people could have been a doctor who would have found a cure for cancer. Okay? Because we believe a lot in education. Okay?
Max finds out about the same program that you were enrolled into,
right,
of looking for orphan survivors. And the maximum age for that group is 16. Fred is 17. So Fred and Max decide they're going to lie about their ages to get in there.
Yeah. We had no IDs. We had nothing. All we had was the clothes on our bodies, nothing else. No identification of any kind.
So Max gets to England, and again, you just got to read the book to go through that transition of what it's like to go from a concentration camp to England,
right,
with white sheets and white bread. And he's got a part of there where he explains he thinks white bread is basically like cake.
Right.
He thinks they're making sandwiches on cake because it tastes so delicious to him.
Right.
Yeah, just it's just powerful.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I called out in here is that he says we attended organization and for rehabilitation and training school for half a day, 5 days a week. The school is designed to prepare us for life and work. And I just read that as his focus, and it seems like everyone's focus was like, okay, we're going to move forward. We got to find a new job. We got to find out how we're going to put our lives together.
You have to do that. If you don't, you're lost.
And there's also, what's the name of Mr. Montefiore? Am I saying that right?
Montefiore.
And what was his position?
He was a wealthy Jewish philanthropist in London, and he offered to take us to England.
He was kind of supplying a lot of the financial backing behind.
Absolutely, yes. Actually, Sir Leonard Montefiore walked me down the aisle when we got married in London, because I had no parents, and so he offered to do that.
Yeah, no, that's why I definitely wanted to call out his name, because I knew he was an important figure.
Very important
to
figure.
All of you.
Oh, yes. He was a very important person in England and very important person in Israel. Yeah. Have you ever been to Israel?
I have not.
In Israel, many of the cities have a lot of Sir Leonard Montefiore is all over the place, where he built this and he built that and all kinds of things.
You guys, there's a great line in here again. It's this: the counselors tell us that we did not deserve the suffering that we endured, that it cannot stop us now, and that we can be anything we want to if we are willing to work hard.
Right.
which is just, again, the mentality of, look, we got to move forward. Mm-hmm. And also, it's interesting. You can be anything you want, but you still have to be willing to work hard. Even after everything you've been through, you're still going to have to get out there and
absolutely.
And
we
work.
did, all of us. Let me tell you something. If you're going to count all the survivors that remained from all the people that were killed and that came to this United States, okay, I bet you not one would have gone on welfare, because the first thing they did, get a job. Okay? Our education was very low. I mean, I had 3.5 years of education, close to 4 years of education. I never even thought of going back to school, and it wasn't even on my mind. First of all, in Europe, we only had education till the age of 14. Even though I didn't have it in Europe because we couldn't go after I was like 9 years old. But we all worked very hard to get where we are. Mm-hmm. Okay?
You do a great job of going through like kind of how all this stuff unfolds, and it's really just a beautiful part of the book when there's 5 of you girls that show up in where is it, Bedford Hostel, and
right.
It's a bunch of the young men survivors. Mm-hmm. That's when you that's when you meet one handsome young gentleman who says, "Hello, I'm Max, and this is my brother
right.
Fred.
Yeah,
welcome to Bedford."
Yeah.
And
when I saw him, I said, "I'm going to marry him."
You made the call, huh?
I made the call. Of course, he already had a girlfriend, because all the girls from Bedford, the town, the non-Jewish girls, they would come to the hostel. They liked the Jewish boys.
So you had to.
I had to wait.
You had to make a move
time.
there.
It took me some time, but I got him.
Test your patience.
Right. That's what you need to do in life. Okay.
But you got to go after what you want.
Absolutely.
Got to take a little risk sometimes.
Yes.
Coming from Rose.
Yes.
You get jobs. You learn English. Now you move to London. Who is it that moves to London? Is it you, Max, and Fred that all moved to London together?
Yes, we did.
And
because the hostel was closing, the kids were leaving. They were finding relatives in the United States. They're going to Israel. They're going to Australia. Because we were all orphans, and a lot of us remembered we had relatives here, there, and everywhere. Okay, so a lot of us from England, came to England, and then we went over to the United States. And
you guys get married. You say at when you guys get married, your receptions, 95% of the guests are survivors of the Holocaust.
They're all survivors. We kind of stuck together. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were in hostels together, and then even when we came to London, we did not live in a hostel. They put us in private homes, and the organization would pay for our upkeep.
You go on a honeymoon? Is it a honeymoon when you guys go to Paris?
Yes.
You say, "I never thought I could be this happy again after all we lived through in the camps. As we head back to England, I think of my parents and wonder if they were ever this happy. Thinking of my parents makes me miss them for a moment, and I am sad. But then we arrive at our destination, and the sad thoughts are pushed aside in favor of hope for the future." It's just such a common theme that you talk about all the time. Yeah. That you're not going to get caught up in the past. And it's not that you're going to forget about the past, but you're not going to dwell there.
Right. Well, you cannot you cannot. Life is to look forward for better things. I mean, if you're going to look to the past all the time, it's not going to get you anywhere. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we just have to hope for the best and do the best we can.
You say here, London is a fun city for us. We have lots of friends and enjoy our jobs. 5 years have flown by since leaving the hostel, and we are so happy for our new life here together. And again, I'm fast forwarding through a bunch of really good stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you say, one night, over a wonderful dinner of fish and chips, Max proclaims, "Rose, I think it's time for us to move to America." Mm-hmm. His statement takes me by surprise. Max periodically talked about moving to America since we met. We talk about America as a destination for someday, but I never considered that someday might be today. He told me that his father had been trying to get the family emigration visas before the Germans rounded up all the Jews.
Right.
I don't know, Max, what we do in America. Whatever we want, he tells me with a smile.
Mm-hmm.
So that was your vision of America.
Right.
Was we're going to go there.
Yes.
And
yes, that was our hope. The uncle I had, he didn't offer to bring us, but Max's family offered to bring us, sent us affidavits. Okay.
What were the affidavits for?
To come to America.
So they just got a sign that, hey, we're going to...
They're responsible for you.
Okay.
They were responsible for us for 5 years. Okay? So, of course, when we came to America, we spoke perfect English already. Within 3-4 days, we had jobs. You know, we were already grown up.
Land of opportunity.
Land of opportunity. Lots of opportunities here, right?
Although I thought, well, maybe you can expand on this a little bit because, well, first of all, October 3rd, 1951, Rose and I, this is Max talking, Rose and I both wear our father's watch chains as we leave the apartment. When we reach New York City on October 12th, my uncle and second cousins meet us at the dock and put us up in a Manhattan hotel for 2 nights. Our hotel window looks out into a junkyard, which makes us want to check out as soon as possible. After a quick breakfast on our second full day in America, my uncle gives us $20 and says, good luck, you're on your own.
Right.
From then on, we will never stay with family again. I do not feel we need them. We can make it here in America on our own as long as Rose and I have each other.
I tell you, we were very lucky to have these relatives. Okay, Max's family. They were really amazing people, okay? And we loved each other deeply, okay? They welcomed us like their own kids. Mm-hmm. But thank God we never needed their help. Okay?
Yeah, that's awesome. So he gets a job at a scale company, working on making scales.
Right.
And then he notices some little upgrowing company called International Business Machines, or IBM.
Right.
He realizes maybe that could be a good job.
Right.
He gets involved in that. You end up passing out one time on the train. Go to the doctor, and then Max says, when Rose calls me the next day, she tells me there's nothing at all to worry about. Excitedly, she says, the doctor says that there's only one thing going on with me, and that is that I am pregnant.
Right.
1955, Max decides he's going to come and check out a little place called San Diego, California.
Right.
We all know what happens when you come to San Diego.
Nobody wants to leave.
Nobody wants to leave, Max included. And then you arrived in April of 1956 with baby Roxanne.
Uh-huh.
And then you end up with a place in North Park.
Right.
You get a job at Golden State Fabrics.
Right. Uh-huh.
And then you start raising your family.
Yeah.
Ben arrives in 1957, who I met today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was the second. I have a daughter who is 65 years old, and Ben is 62. So we came to San Diego in 1956. I came to Max came Christmas time. He came for a 3-day visit, and he never went back to New York. He calls me 2 days later. He says, Rose, we're moving to San Diego. He got a job at Solar.
Okay.
And worked for Solar for 5 years, and then he went to General Dynamics. He retired after working at General Dynamics for 28 years.
Good career and a great place to settle down.
Yes, right. So we lived in North Park for 6 months, and then we bought a house in Allied Gardens.
You know, I'm going to take a little aside here. You say this. You say, occasionally I still wonder if there is a God. How could there be with all the terror that happened to us and to others? Surely God would not have allowed it. When I think about this, it makes me angry. I ask myself why God would have allowed the Holocaust to happen, and I never come up with an answer. I cannot sort out with what I feel. So this question has to be put aside to allow me to continue with all the good in my life.
That's a very big question.